please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning, Neil.
Okay, we have an agenda in front of us. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
I'd like to make one addition for 9:30 today. The ambulance issue, I was instructed last week to go forward with that. Pat Gray put the time and effort in to bring two people in, and one of the people at 9:30 today is the only time he could do it. And I want to know from last Friday, who made the final decision on the ambulance issue not to be in the agenda when it was brought to Courtney to be put on the agenda, and it was denied.
The chairperson.
This is an open meeting, Neil, and it will not be denied from here on out.
Here's the situation. I was at the supervisors meeting Thursday.
We don't want to go there.
No, listen. Do you want to hear the answer, or don't you, Marty?
I do want to hear the answer.
Here's the answer. I was at
We're
supervisors.
putting ourselves in
and
jeopardy there.
I had a phone call, which I didn't even know who it was from. I returned it. It was from Pat Gray. So I got in touch with him eventually during one of our breaks. He said he wanted to be on the agenda. I says, well, two things, Pat. First of all, I know you want to go in closed session, and if you want to go in closed session, we just don't do this as convenience. Do you have a code section that we're going in closed session? He said he'd talk to the county attorney, and he did. And I says, that's fine. I says, Mark is not going to be at the whole meeting on Monday, and the following meeting, Marty's not going to be there. Is it okay with you, Pat, if we have it on February 29th? Is that okay with you, Pat? He says, yes, it is. I says, okay, we will put it on the agenda February 29th. If you heard anything different, I'd like to know about it, because
I
that's how
have
the
talked with the
conversation
county
went.
attorney this weekend and yesterday, and it is set up to be on the agenda, and I want to add that to the agenda with the closed session code of Iowa Code 21.5I.
Okay, all right, that's fine with me, but I just want to make it quite clear that it was moved to that date so that everybody could be at the meeting, Marty.
Our discussion that day was, Neil, we could put it on the agenda today and discuss it. I don't think we need to make a decision today, but I think we need to put it on the agenda.
Do you want to discuss it today?
No, I don't think we want to. I would rather wait till February 27th.
Okay, February 29th.
29th. Yep.
Okay, so do you want to add this to the agenda or not?
Yes,
Okay, for discussion purposes or whatever?
closed session for discussion.
Do you have the code section, Marty?
It's 21.5I.
Okay, that's fine with me.
That's for today then, right?
Yes.
That's for today.
Okay, I thought it was going to the
You know,
29th of it.
so that's the way it happened, Marty.
Yeah.
He called me, I returned the call, and I asked him, I says, Pat, is it okay with you? Because I want you and Mark to be at the meeting for closed session. So it was out of respect for you and him and everybody, and I thanked him, and we were all in agreement, and that's exactly how it happened. That's why we had it planned for the 29th.
And I was, I'll tell you, Neil's, I heard his side of the story, and that's the way it went down. I didn't hear what Pat was saying on his side.
Pat called me afterwards to ask how we could handle it, and I came home that day.
Okay.
And
All
I
right.
told him to talk to Courtney and go through the channels.
If he's had a change of mind. Okay, it's up to the board. Is there a motion to add that to agenda? Is there a second to add that to the agenda at 9:30?
If it's a close,
It's closed session. And John and Pat
My
are going to be.
my only issue is I would like it to be later on the agenda because it was my intention to get Mark on keep Mark here through our work session because he needs to leave early today, and I think our budget is very important, and it was my intention to move everything to the back of the agenda as I discussed early this morning and do the budget first, so we all beat into that, so. I'd prefer to have it later in the agenda if it's so approved, but that's fine. That's my
But then if it's later in the agenda, then Mark won't be here.
right.
Right, and I'd like to have Mark involved.
Well, is there a second to Marty's motion to put it on the agenda? Motion dies due to lack of second.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, anything else?
I'm gonna answer that, Marty, a little bit. Being since it's a closed session, if it's the issue what it is, I think it should be something is a little bit of a, when we've done this in the past, on issues that are that have some concern, we like to make sure they're on a published agenda.
But this is a published agenda, and the question was asked why it wasn't put on the agenda.
Well, and you.
Okay, I'll expand upon my situation. Courtney did ask if that should be on the agenda, and Friday morning we visited, I believe it was, and I informed Courtney that I'd visit with Pat, and we're gonna do it February 29th. I forget at what point in time that was, but Courtney did ask if that was to be on the agenda, and I said, well, I visit with Pat. He was okay with the 29th.
I guess the question I'm gonna ask you, Neil, you got a voicemail from Pat on Friday. Did you return that call?
I don't know if I did get one from him on Friday.
You did.
Well, I will concur with what Gene says, and I think for the sake of compromise, I think the 29th is a good date to have this. Everybody knows it's coming, and it's published.
I guess in
I think-
respect to John and PJ, for them being here, PJ can't be here, and this is set up with those two already.
On the
I
29th?
was instructed to move forward last week and talk to Pat about this. And I did that, my job. Pat took the time to line those two people up. And we're gonna decline it. That's fine.
Okay, well, I apologize if I didn't handle it the best of our ability, but I felt that I had gotten Pat's approval for the 29th. Apparently, if I did get a voicemail, I will check. I did not recognize that. But I apologize if you wish me to handle those things any differently, but I would expect that with his approval and my respect with you two guys wanting to be here for that, that was the most prudent choice I made at the time on Thursday. And the chairperson is supposed to run the agenda, and I don't do this from a bully puppet.
Excuse me?
I accept I've never denied any request for any of you to take anything off the agenda. In this situation, I brought it up for a vote.
Okay, one other addition I want to make. From here on out, if a board member, an employee, or a citizen wants something on the agenda, it will be on the agenda, because I don't want to get caught up in an open meetings legal issue.
Okay.
And we're violating it right here.
Okay. All right, well, I don't see how I handle it.
I don't feel that we are, and Marty, I brought it to this board's attention 3 weeks ago that I was gonna be gone.
You
on
made
this
comment
day.
last week that you may be gone.
Oh, no, I've had this booked for 3
I know
months.
you made comment last Monday, Mark, that you may be gone. You did not know for sure.
Well, no, that's not true.
You have a tape recording from last week, and also I think that it was.
Well, whether or not I
I
could
think- I
even
think
make
Neil
this
did
meeting
make
at
a
all,
comment
so.
in regards to that it was supposed to be on the agenda, and Courtney confirmed with Marty and also with Pat Gray that they would be on the agenda. Nobody got a hold of them and told them they would not be on the agenda today.
Pat and I had a very clear conversation on Thursday concerning the agenda, which I previously explained, and
On
I,
Thursday, this was Friday, that they were informed that they would be on the agenda.
okay,
Friday morning,
Courtney
to be
informed
exact.
Marty and Pat.
okay. Well, I don't feel I handled it differently than any of our previous chair people would have handled it.
You can answer to John when he gets here then.
Okay. All right. Anything else for the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the
So
agenda.
moved.
I'll second that motion.
Been moved second to approve the agenda, present. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Motion carried. Okay, we have the minutes of the previous meeting here. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of the meeting?
They appear to be in order. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded, to approve the minutes as presented. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, then we'll vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Motion is carried. Okay, we're going to move to item number 3 on the agenda, which is the budget work session. And Courtney has worked hard since the last meeting, putting the budget together. It's a very important decision that we do, and you're gonna put it up on the screen here, Courtney?
I gave you all a sheet, kind of a comparison for a residential property, an ag property, and a commercial property, and the rates that we have. This isn't very easy to see either. I thought this would be bigger than the other one, but this is the main sheet that's gonna show the levy, and it's also gonna show the dollars that we're gonna raise over here, in this pink column here. So you can see, I wish I could see it better, but here's the county levy. Look at my sheet, because I can't even read it off there. 3.82983. And in fiscal 16, it was 3.83104, so it's a little less. And here's the total countywide levy right here, 6.86273. That's a little higher than fiscal 16. That year it was 6.83462. So I'm gonna just go to the last page here of the budget. It's gonna be, it says on the top, service area 0. It should be towards the end of budget. Talk about ending fund balances. It's probably the main area we want to concentrate on to make sure that, based upon these figures, that we're gonna be where we want to be at the end of the year, at the end of the budget year. And that, those figures are all here, ending fund balance along here. So if we use the levy rate that was proposed just a little while ago, our ending fund balance in the general fund would be $1,336,607. And the supplemental is $149,403. Mental health, $142,152. Did everybody find that sheet?
Yep,
Oh.
there we go.
Let's see here. Rural services, $282,164. Secondary roads, $610,265. And other, which comprises our local option fund, the attorney collection fund, recorder's election management fund, the REAP fund, $2,469,398. And capital projects, $367,198. A majority of that is going to be conservation's money. The county's is around the 50,000 mark, so the remainder of that is conservation. So total ending fund balance would be $5,357,187, which if you look at the re-estimated, that's quite a difference from 16. We re-estimated $6,177,289. Over here. That's that. And then this is the actual at the end of 15. So you can see that we've really taken the fund balances down, but I think before I came on, that was something that was talked about, just to getting the fund balances lower and using those balances to reduce the levy. So, is there any questions on those, or are there any of these balances that anybody's not comfortable with?
With those figures, what is the fund balance on the local option?
I broke that down. Let me go. Let me go grab my other sheet, and I'll be able to break down the local option.
And you were able to get Courtney our contribution to the region in time for this, right?
Yes.
And it's showing the 3250.
It was 3255.
Right.
Yeah, I called her on the way back from my meeting last week at Rolling Hills after I got that, and Dawn was gonna email her the exact amount.
That is, $32.55.
$32.55 per capita. And, right.
And they changed that about that payment, that first payment too?
Yes, and we also agreed to, it's an option, we can optionally delay our first payment. So if county wants to pay it early, they can, but they're not required to. And that's just the first quarter payment, period, and I think everybody understood that. The first payment, the first quarter payment, we have the option of deferring that until October 1st. I made the motion, that's how it read, and it was passed unanimously by every member there.
I actually don't have it broken down. I have just a grand total. It'll take a little bit to
That's fine.
figure out what we've, if you look at the revenue sheet, you can see what I've budgeted for revenue in local options. That is about 3 or 4 pages back from the front.
Here's the four.
It says revenues detail on the top of the page.
Mhm.
And so you can see that we have $519,330 going into rural services and also into the local option fund. And as far as I know, we just have one thing in the budget that's going to be coming out of local option. I think it's the contribution to Merchants Park.
That's correct. When you figured the income, in addition to the monthly income, did you also figure in the ICP estimated repayment?
Yes,
People
that's
live
all
on normal
included.
repayments?
All of that is included.
Very good, thank you.
It's not gonna be included in that $500,000 or that $1 million. It's gonna be in another spot. Let me find that real quick. Let's see. Not sure, just let me double check and make sure it's on the last page. Under that service area 0 where we looked at the ending fund balances, there's $23,540 that's interest on short-term debt, which is gonna be the interest that local option earns.
What was that again?
It's under the service area 0
Yeah.
page. It'll be line 2, section H.
Oh, okay.
There's the interest, and then,
Is that just on local option or all our interest?
that is all the interest. I
Okay,
believe.
that's fine.
You can see on the revenue sheet, there's in section H again, which is going to be this local option, on line 10, there's $142,909 under TIF revenue. That's going to be money we received from ICP, estimated for 17.
Okay. Is that also included the May River or Mount Carmel thing, the May River?
No, that's included in, let's see
that not use some money in property?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's in one of the other lines. I'm not, it's probably part of, looking at my cheat sheet, I think it's part of line 24, which is $163,000.
Use some money in property.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I figured.
Because the interest on the Maple Road and the Mount Carmel sewers is really low, so we don't earn a lot as far as interest goes. Most of their payments go towards principal. And, you know, and as I was plugging these in, I didn't really notice anything that much different than last year. You know, with the exception of the increases in salaries and things like that. There isn't anything that stands out this year from last year. Does anybody want me to do anything with the levies to change? Because ultimately it'll change our ending fund balance. So I thought if there's one of these fund balances that you feel is too low or too high, and it'd only be in the ones that we levy for. So you've got general basic, supplemental. We aren't levying, oops, I got over too far. We aren't levying for mental health, and this would be rural services. So if any of those,
So we're still not levying for mental health this year yet?
no, as long as that payment, that first quarter payment, like Neil said, we can pay in September, we should be fine.
Yeah, anytime up to October 1st.
So once again, we're not levying at all for mental health? At all?
No.
Okay.
And I think that's good, because we need to get that fund particularly
Right.
down.
Yes, we do.
The one that I seen you had secondary roads on, I think that's probably about as low as we've had it for a long time.
The 600?
Well, you
I was just
remember
looking
that-
at,
Yeah, you remember that last budget amendment we did? He took, I didn't bring this, brought like 600,000 he took out of reserves for those projects. You know, and that's based upon every project he's budgeted for being completed in fiscal 18.
Yeah, that's the
or
big,
17,
big
excuse me.
$64,000 question.
And really, as far as that one goes, there's not much we can do, you know, where he's already receiving the max from the general basic fund and the rural services fund to fund secondary roads. We do the max, so I don't know, short of him reducing any projects costs or anything else, I don't know how you would increase that. But that last, I'm sorry, it's not the last budget amendment, it would have been the one we did in the fall. He took quite a bit out for some projects.
If you refer back to the work we did on our reserves, I believe the balance on that should show less than this because it did not take into consideration any ICP repayment or Maple River or Mount Carmel repayment. It strictly took the estimated monthly revenue from sales, retail sales.
you talking local option again?
Yes, local option. Yeah, I don't know what I had in there, but should probably be less than what we have here. The balance should be larger up here.
And I'll break out that local option fund and I can send that to you all. That shows what we are anticipating and the interest and principal that it's going to be going into there. I just have it combined with the other funds that go in there, so. So overall on that sheet that I handed out, when it talked about different types of property, it was asked that I compare this. So on a house valued at $125,000, the rollback is 55.6259%, which rolls the value back, taxable value back to $69,532. So with the levy rate I have plugged in, the property taxes would be $263, which is an increase of $2 from fiscal 16. And on a 40-acre tract of ag property, we basically use the same parcel year after year, but this year the value on that is $78,000. The ag rollback is a little more than last year, 46.1068, which brings the taxable down to $35,963. And with the levy rate I plugged in, the property taxes on that parcel would be $247. That's a decrease of $18. And then on commercial, a property valued at $1 million, the rollback's the same, 90%, which brings the taxable to $900,000. Their taxes would be, excuse me, $3,447, decrease of about $1. So, a typo. At the bottom there, it should say fiscal 17 property taxes on the last
sure.
one. But estimated $6,757,067. That's an increase of $62,885 total for property taxes collected. Based on the
90%
budget.
of the value is what's taxable.
On commercial?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Just want to
Yep.
90% rollback, like maybe it's 10%.
No, yeah, 90% of the value.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, that's fine, that's fine. So overall, not a lot of change, which could be good or bad, but.
Quite similar to what Courtney has done with the, showing the actual dollar change on different tracts of land. From fiscal year 13 through 17, I have tracked what our county-wide and rural area levy rate is, and from fiscal year 13 to this proposed amount, the county-wide over that period of time has gone down 15, almost 15.5%, and the rural just under 8%, 7.97% over that 5-year span. That's not the dollar we're collecting, it's the levy rate, so if somebody's valuation has changed, their taxes may not have gone down or up, but on equal value, the levy has gone down over those 5 years.
That's something that's out of our control, that value.
Yes, it is.
And I did use the max on the general basic, the 3.5, in order to levy for supplemental. I didn't know if I know we talked about possibly offsetting some of the levy rates with local option money if we wanted to, but that might be something we look at next year, or we can look at it this year too, but.
We can, whatever the pleasure of the board is. My preference would be to look at it for FY18 in relationship to our mental health per capita requirement. It's going to hit us then. I think it'd be a good time to do an offset. And I think we all want to keep some money in that local option. It's been kind of a nice little savings account for us. But we will have enough of it accumulated by then that we can use it to kind of offset a large portion of our per capita requirement for mental health, and it'll keep the levy rate fairly steady for our taxpayers. We could dive into it this year and really lower the levy, but we'd have to bump it up again next year. And
No, I agree with you, Neil. I think this is a better way of doing it. We all know it's gonna start costing us more mental health.
yeah.
And I think this might, the way, just with what you're saying is, we're gonna ease back into it more gradually, and we're make a big jump. I think that's good.
If it was my personal account, I'd want to take the savings now and worry about it later, but we're working with public, and it's at the discretion of the board. Yes, we could dive into local option and use it for a tax savings this year, but it would catch up with it next year, absolutely.
But in essence, the tax savings is there with the no levy on mental health.
Right. I thought we'd have to levy for mental health this year, I really did, the way things were heading. But that 3250 was kind of a game changer, I think.
And hopefully, and we talked about this, one of the biggest parts of our, important part of our levy now is convince the legislature to put parity in the per capita situation so everybody is taxed the same. If that doesn't happen, our tax liability is only going to get worse in the future compared to what it is now. So, we need to, I know I've contacted each of the legislators and Bill Heckroth, and we had some good words on that at the supervisors meeting on Thursday as well. Perhaps we should all follow up on that, myself included.
Well, I sent letters to both the legislators and to Bill, CC'd him on it too, so hopefully we all do that.
They're well aware of this situation.
Yes, they are.
think this actually looks fairly good.
Yeah.
Were there any areas of department budgets that you wanted to look at as far as, we discussed some salaries and things like that, and those things were voted on at the last meeting. But as far as any of the other budgets that came in, now would be the time to talk about those if anybody felt that there was an area that needed to be looked at a little closer.
Courtney, going down to the salaries and the supervisors.
Yeah.
That one, is that figure correct?
Yeah, I saw that too, Marty,
No.
sorry.
The
No.
24?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's not.
That should be a higher figure than that.
yeah, 29 something. And I didn't check the others, but I knew that one was wrong.
I checked the others, that was the only one that I found incorrect.
This is plugging St. Anthony Hospital in at the,
Yeah, they gave me an amount.
they did?
Yeah, they will, it was about $1,000.
Ed said they're gonna be here on the 22nd.
Yeah, so I had them give me the amount, so we could at least have that number plugged in, but.
So what you have entered into this budget is about $1,000 more than what we gave him last year.
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
Any other questions for Courtney on this, or anything else you need to show us here?
I was just looking at, so I say,
28,959.
I don't know what I'm.
Thanks for doing this, Courtney, that
Yeah, that's very helpful.
illustrates things very well.
I agree, you talked about valuations and levy rates, et cetera, but what really translates in an understandable way is how it affects a house, how it affects business, how it affects 40-acre tract.
How it affects the taxpayer.
That's easy to understand. So thank you also.
And, if these look good, I have a bunch of other comparisons I can make too. I just didn't want to do all that work. If we could change the levy any little bit, I would have to redo it. So I thought if we were comfortable with the levies, then I would do those extra sheets so you guys could see that as well. Do you feel comfortable in setting a public hearing for the budget, or do you want to have more discussion on it?
I do, it's a board decision. Is there more discussion we need to have? I think we answered many of our largest issues at the last meeting. We made some big decisions there with our nonprofits and several others that we had discussed previously.
I'm comfortable with what we've got here so far.
Yeah, yeah, I'm too. It's the first draft.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Okay.
And, if we set it and when St. Anthony comes in, if that gets lowered, we can certainly still lower it. We're talking about 1,000. I don't even think it was 1,000, it was 900%.
Yeah, I feel comfortable. If the rest of the board does, we should keep moving ahead. Like I've said previously, last year Marty got the budget, and the whole board did off to a good start, and we continue through this year, and I think we're finishing up in a nice timely manner. With some pretty good figures, actually.
Courtney, as far as date, what do you feel comfortable with setting?
Well, state is the 16th. They would probably. Could do March 7th. Because I don't know, we're having our meeting on a Tuesday, usually the deadline for the paper is Monday. So I think it'll be next Thursday before I can get it included in the mailing papers. So it would get published on the 25th, and we have the 10-day issue requirement.
Oh, we won't be able to make the 29th.
So the 29th can't make it.
No. If this were Monday, I'd say yes.
Right.
But their deadline is Monday, so those are wrenching it. But even having it on the 7th,
That gives us a week.
we're still a week ahead of
Well,
the deadline. but-
Probably a week earlier than we've ever done it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I keep on thinking it's gonna get earlier and earlier every year, and
Gets more complex.
we still get to the very end of it, and it's... Yeah, if no one has any objections, I make a motion that we set the public hearing for our fiscal year 17 budget for Monday, March 7th at 10 o'clock.
That'd be great.
I'll second, go ahead.
So I'll second it then.
Motion's made and seconded to set the public hearing for our budget for Monday, March 7th, at 10 a.m. Is there any discussion on that motion? We'll vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Very good. Thanks again to the entire board and Courtney and our department heads. Everyone has been very helpful with this budget process. Okay. Anything else on item number 3, FY17 county budget work session? Okay, then we'll move to the top of the agenda, which is the treasurer's semi-annual report. I visited with Jean on this. She asked her if she wanted to come down. She said that it's pretty much no change, pretty much mirrors last year's very closely, and we'd have her down here, but she thought that there wasn't anything that stood out that needed discussion or anything.
No, and I always check the figures and make sure they match what I have. Just,
Yeah.
it's easier to catch it at the 6-month mark than at the end of the year, so, and everything looked good.
Jean also said that she enjoyed working with Courtney on this, and Courtney can answer any questions.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any questions on the semi-annual treasurer's report? Not, I would entertain a motion to approve. So,
I'll make a motion to the effect to approve the treasurer's semi-annual report.
And I'll second that motion.
okay, Marty's moved and Dina seconded to approve the treasurer's semi-annual report. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Resolution for interfund transfer. Explain that to us, please.
This is when we did the budget amendment, we were gonna move $15,000 from our general fund into the capital fund to pay for the courtroom upstairs. And in order to move that money, we need to do a resolution.
I will,
It's off.
From general to capital.
General fund, yeah, from the general fund into the capital
Capital
fund.
fund.
Yeah.
I also moved on that.
I'll second it.
Okay, Gina's moved, Marty seconded to
Mark.
move.
Mark
Mark seconded to move $15,000 from the general basic to the capital fund. Is there any discussion on that motion? Roll call, please.
Bach.
Yes.
Beardmore.
Yes.
Shetler.
Yes.
Miners.
Yes.
Danzer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right.
On that topic, just, I got an email from Eric, and I just wanted to update you. The state is going to cover the cost of those benches.
Good.
So, and he wanted to thank you, Neil, for suggesting them. So,
You're
he
welcome.
thought he might be down here, but I didn't see him. So
Yeah.
that's good news.
Yes, it is.
I do have this for signatures too. I'll pass that on.
Oops. Clark, we'd all like you to start with committee reports.
Sure, if you're ready. Let's see. Well, everything on Monday was postponed, wasn't it? Okay, starting with Tuesday, Jean and I met with Pat Gray and also with John Worden about the ambulance grievance, and looks like we responded back to them this week in the time allowed, and we're allowing them to, reply back on whether or not they wish to move forward with it or drop it. Then on Tuesday evening, we had an ambulance board meeting there. We have a new member there, Mike Schwabe. He's gonna fit in just swell and gonna be a good man. We moved about $9,000 into collections, and then Pat gave us a very brief update on the service. That meeting was very quick because we had the conference board, which met at 5:30. All of you were there, so no need to report on that. And then, of course, the Sheriff Bass event over in Arcadia. Following that, once again, which you were all there. I think it was a nice little soiree for them, and one square meal this week for me. So then on Thursday was the Templeton Roundtable, and I don't know if it was the food or the city, but I would almost venture to say it was the best one yet. What do you think of that, Mr. Miners? It was a very well-done thing, and
well attended.
I hope those
Yeah.
things continue. Yeah, and there was mention about some of the municipalities that haven't shown up yet, and they don't know what they're missing yet. It's, I think it's
Well,
very
and-
beneficial and
And I
good to get around.
know Marty and and I know Region 12 reached out to several of those communities, and I just don't see them.
They just don't want to show up.
Yeah, but it's a great event. So anyways, you were all there, so nothing new to report. And that was my week. My upcoming week, I'll miss I'll miss the coalition on Wednesday. Give them my regrets, and then there'll be a legislative forum in Coon Rapids on Saturday, which I plan to attend, and find out the latest on county consolidation, if there's any news on that. Thank you.
Dean? I had a conservation board meeting that was canceled on Monday, and it sounds like they're not going to reschedule that. They'll just go on to the March meeting. It wasn't a big agenda, and so they're just going to consolidate the two. I had the conference board meeting on Tuesday night. No need to go over that. Doug Bass's award dinner, and I thought that was very well. I've never been to a Legion meeting before, and it was just a very good experience to take that all in. I really enjoyed that. On Thursday, we had the statewide supervisor meeting in Des Moines, and you always learn a lot there. There's the MCOs were there and gave their discussion on the way that is proceeding, and I still have questions about that, whether that's going to be going as smoothly and as well as accepted as they perceive it to be. It's always good networking with other supervisors throughout the state, and I always appreciate that. And then got back just in time to go to the city-county roundtable meeting in Templeton. And, I don't think that Breda's been well attended at these in the past, and so I encouraged Mike to come, and he was in attendance there, and he offered to host it, so that's a good thing. So, yeah, I think if we can get more people involved, that's only a good thing. So, that was my week. This week, I don't think I have anything coming up except the legislative forum on Saturday.
Gene?
Come through town, look me up. Ride down if you want.
On Tuesday,
Yeah.
If it's convenient for you.
as Mark said, we visited with Pat Gray and John on the ambulance grievance, and hopefully that we've got that thing put to bed. Then again, 5:30 was the conference board, and then Doug Bass's thing after that. And then on Wednesday, I went down for the supervisors meeting for Thursday, but we had an executive board meeting the night before, and went through finalizing who's going to do the introductions on the statewide, and then also we set up for the spring school and went through some of those agenda items and getting things done on who's going to do those and bad, so. And Bill kind of gave an update, and boy, you listen to Bill Heckroth, he don't think there's gonna get much done this year. It's all gonna be just a school thing and a few other items, and they're gonna be deadlocked and won't be much done, he didn't think, so. And as far as the MCOs at the state meeting, I was kind of surprised, I thought they were, how well they,
Worked with each other?
Worked with each other, and I thought it'd be more of a battle, but they, I think it comes down to, they're in the same position we are. DHS is his problem.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing, so I think they're in the same situation, they're just on the other side of the fence. And then got back Thursday for the Templin County City Roundtables, and I thought that was well attended, and a lot of good discussion, I thought, this time. And this week, I have, I got CADC here at noon, and then Friday is the Yes Center board meeting, and that's the only thing I have right now. And then Thursday, Saturday, or I say Friday's the Yes Center. Saturday, if I can get to the legislative forum, if my wife lets me.
Okay, on Monday, our Westville board meeting was canceled due to weather. Tuesday had the conference board meeting, which went very well, and then the awards banquet for Doug Bass, which was very well attended. It's going to be hard to replace our sheriff there, but time will prevail and things will move on. On Wednesday afternoon, I went down to the ISAC executive meeting, and then that was also on Thursday. One thing I would like to bring out is Mary Moseyman's presentation on protecting public assets. She did have a good presentation as far as things with fraud and some other issues that involve the county levels. Then got back that afternoon, signed checks at Region 12, and then also attended the Templeton Roundtable. And throughout the course of the week, had discussion with John Worden and Pat Gray on the ambulance issue throughout the course of the week. For this, and then today we had a solid waste board meeting this morning before here. Some of the things we discussed there was we're working with the city of Carroll to put in a new line. It's a leachate line that goes into the city wastewater treatment plant. It goes from the gate of the landfill north, and then it also goes down along the street parallel that the city owns, and so we're putting together a 28E agreement to work with the city of Carroll to tie into that and redo that line. We've been having a lot of issues with that line plugging here in the last year, so we're looking at upgrading that this spring. We discussed some putting in some new monitoring equipment with our new cell. We've got about 5 or 6 new monitors that we have to put in there to meet the criteria for DNR. We also discussed putting in a radio up in the upper building. We have problems with dead spots and with the cell phones. They can't get a hold of them, so they're going to put a 2-way radio in at the building up by the cell, so they can keep in contact with the employees in that building. We also, in the last ice storm that we had a 35-foot high fence that was built with utility poles that went down. We approached the company that put it in. They wanted $80,000 to put that fence back in. We got bids from 2 local vendors, and they wanted $14,600 to put it in as opposed to $80,000. So we're going with the local contractor. Also discussed the hire of a new paper sorter position for a person that had left out there. They did hire Diane Swanson, and she's going to be making $10 an hour, and then she's going to be on a 6-month trial period, and then we'll review her salary at that time. And then also last week we got in our new 963 track loader that we had ordered last fall. That came in last week. So, and then on the region side, Mary's working with Shelby County to get a 10-year extension on their contract with the solid waste. So that's pretty much my week in a nutshell. Tomorrow I will be meeting with Dave Paulson. I will be meeting with Jeff Danner and Brad Huffman on the road issue down by Dedham in regards to the bridge there. And then on Thursday have a Region 12 board meeting.
Marty, back to your landfill. There's a line there presently for that leachate, isn't there?
The problem that's there now, it's a 4-inch line that goes into the manhole, and then from there, there's a lift station, and it goes into a 2-inch line. The line that they're looking at putting in, they're gonna go into a 4-inch line, and then when they put in the city's parallel to the street that goes along, down to Moore Houses on that little street, they wanna put a 10-inch line in there. That way, if any businesses develop along that stretch, they'll have a big enough line to tie into. So that way, and the problem is, it's too small a line. We're going from a
Oh,
4-inch to a
one
2-inch.
Croton up or
Yeah,
whatever.
no,
Okay.
it goes from a 4-inch line to a 2-inch, and it's just
So
too
it's
small a
2-inch they're
line.
gonna replace.
Yeah, they're gonna replace that with a segment of 4-inch and a segment of 10-inch.
That's gonna be the city's cost though, isn't it?
Well, we're gonna do the 4-inch that goes along the landfill, and then it'll be a joint effort between the city and the county and the landfill to put in that 10-inch line. And we're working a 2080 agreement out to do that,
Hmm.
because it is benefiting the landfill.
Okay. Monday had a second judicial district meeting. It was a nominating committee to nominate people to serve on the executive board. It was held by telephone, so it actually was a pretty good call for that day. And we did get an executive committee nominated and got that taken care of. Tuesday had the Rolling Hills meeting in Sac City, and I covered the part that affects us, the fact that it's going to be $32.55 per capita, and that we have the option of delaying or deferring our first payment as late as October 1st. And some other business that we had, Turning Point, which is the crisis stabilization house there, is now open. They had 4 people the first day they opened. It's kind of bounced around, it's staying about the same there. And we discussed whether, they've got capacity, I believe, for 9. And there was some discussion as to whether we could, if we're under capacity, have some people from other regions come in and as a source of revenue, but always keep at least one place open. And that discussion is going to continue. We felt it was a little bit premature to make any decision on that since it just opened on February 1st, but we're going to follow up on that discussion there. But it did open on February 1st after several previous delays. We signed a contract with Midwest Compliance to do our HIPAA compliance. We talked a little bit about some jail diversion programs, and we signed a jail diversion resolution. They had a 5-star quality training at Early, Iowa, where a lot of the providers attended. And everyone who attended was very happy with the quality of that meeting. And we approved our budget. Okay. Also, on Tuesday evening, with all of you attended the recognition for Doug Bass as the Law Enforcement Officer of the Year, which he's very deserved of. And as we think back a few years, we also had the Engineer of the Year in Iowa, so we're really fortunate to have such good department heads around here. Tuesday evening was the conference board. You were all there. We're moving on from that. Thursday had the state supervisors meeting. Most of the points have already been made, but just in addition to those, education is the big issue, and another one is the Section 179 coupling with the federal tax, which is very important to our business and agriculture. And the understanding I got is until education gets settled, nothing is going to move that involves money. So it's going to be back and forth till the education funding is decided on. Then other issues are basically, he used the word held hostage, which everything else is going to be held hostage until education is done. Mary Mossman did give, as Marty said, a very good presentation on protecting public assets. And I have one point I did circle down. It says good or bad tone set at the top tends to trickle down to employees. And so I think we're happy to have such good department heads, and everything we do, even as supervisors, does set an example for employees. Last week, I should have brought this in. We got the sheriff's report. It's always emailed to the chairperson, and it come to my realization that you guys hadn't had this, so I'm just going to put it out here if you want to read what the jail report. And it's a favorable jail report, but a couple little things that need to be fixed, but overall, they were very happy, so I don't need that back, but I just thought it was important that everyone hear. One part I did highlight on the back is the classification. It seems to be a big issue with the jail. It's difficult to have so many classifications in such a little jail. Maybe we could, as thought, streamline the number of classifications we take and farm out the rest, as opposed to try to make a small jail be everything to everybody. But we'll discuss that in the future. Attended the roundtable Templeton, and I really enjoyed the tour of the Shetner designs and the, of course, the center. I got the full tour of the center. Really impressed. Had a nice meeting and enjoyed visiting with a lot of the people. One of the discussions brought up was that they were going to change all the water meters in Templeton and Carroll. Ours got changed at 8 o'clock yesterday morning, so that was fast. Coming up this week, well, also coming up at 4 o'clock this afternoon, the examining board is going to meet, and over the weekend I kind of outlined different things that they need to go over, and I kind of visited with Cindy, and she had basically the same ideas lined up, so we're have the information ready for the examining board, and they're going to meet at 4 o'clock this afternoon here. This Saturday is our next legislative forum. It's going to be at the Kretzinger Center in Coon Rapids. We've got the coalition meeting on Wednesday and a CPPC meeting on Thursday. Those are my events coming up. Okay, that concludes my committee reports. Okay, I believe we're at the end of the agenda. Is there anything else, Lise? Is there anything else from the board?
Courtney, anything?
I do.
Any comments from those tenants? Lisa, I believe you had some
Yes.
comments.
I'd just like to say it's very disheartening hearing the change of tone in reading and hearing of employee concerns through the county, and also to hear and see that our county attorney is sitting out in the hallway awaiting closed session while you guys are wasting tax dollars, because as the last I knew, a county attorney and/or attorney's time is very expensive, and nobody yet has notified him that he's not on the agenda. Thank you. The other question that I do have, that was just a comment that I wanted to make, no need for any comments, is how many signatures are required for election for the current positions that are up for election? How many signatures are required for you guys?
If it's a Democratic candidate, it's 50. If it's a Republican candidate, it's 100.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have the agenda in front of me. I make it a point after point or counterpoint that I've never denied anyone access to the agenda. And this last agenda item was something that we voted on here in a public meeting whether or not to have it. So that wasn't my decision alone. Okay. Any other comments? Otherwise,
Just
questions?
everybody should go back and listen to last week's meeting on the
Absolutely.
thing, because it was supposed to be on the agenda. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Any other comments?
A couple quick questions. You had in the 15,000 in the capital fund, does that total bring up to 40, is that right? I couldn't remember exactly from last week. There was already some money in there, correct?
That'd be very close.
That's, I thought there was 25 in there maybe. Turning Point, is that for people escaping abuse, or is that more of a rehab?
Okay, it's people who have mental issues perhaps, and they don't have a place to go. They shouldn't go to jail. The emergency room hospital has been kind of the place they've been staying, which is not the right place. It's
Right.
quite expensive. So it,
Okay. I know you talked about it in the past, but it's
Yes.
been a while. I can't remember.
Gentlemen, PJ and John, I was unaware that you had requested to be on the agenda today. I had visited with Pat Gray on Thursday, and him and I agreed to have him on the agenda on the 29th of February. And Marty informed me today that you were expecting to be on the agenda. Marty proposed a motion to add that to the agenda this morning, and that motion died due to lack of a second. This item, the closed session, will be on the agenda February 29th. So, some of this comes as a surprise to me because it wasn't on the agenda as is printed that I received and reviewed with Courtney earlier in the week. And I may have missed I gotta check this, I may have missed a telephone message from Pat on Friday, so I'm told. I'm gonna check my messages. If I did, I apologize. If I didn't, but I do check those and I didn't see it there.
Next week, I'll see you next week.
29th.
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 Oh, I'm sorry.
I won't be here, but I would have liked to have known because I closed my office for the day, so.
Okay, well. Okay. Pat, did you leave a phone message for me on Friday?
Yes, I did.
I'm gonna check my messages, I apologize, I
Same number
didn't see
that-
that, and I know in our phone conversation on Thursday, we'd agreed to the 29th, is that correct?
Yes, and I talked to Courtney after that. And
Okay.
she agreed to put me on the.
Okay, all right. Okay. Thank you, Pat. Okay, seeing no other business, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Been moved second adjourn, the motion is non-debatable, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We're adjourned, thank you.